In the name of Allah, the entirely merciful, the especially merciful, may peace, mercy, and blessings of Allah the Almighty be upon all of you. I am Umar bin Abid, and you are watching Umar Linguistics. So, dear viewers, this is lecture 7, and today we are going to discuss the sounds of vowels. So, actually, we are going to look at vowels acoustically and but briefly. In the incoming lectures, we'll discuss vowels acoustically in much detail. In the last lecture, we looked at the articulation of vowels, and I discussed in much detail about the tongue positions, the tongue height, with some videos, with some pictures, and with some examples as well. But as we have talked in the last lecture, that we can understand better vowels in terms of their acoustics as compared to their articulation. So this lecture is in English, and the same lecture you can watch in Urdu or Hindi as well. I have given the link in the description below. So this lecture will be somewhat interactive, and you have to focus throughout this lecture because it is important if you want to understand phonetics in detail. So let's start. First of all, to study the sounds of vowels or we require a lot of knowledge of acoustics, which we shall not discuss in this lecture but in the incoming chapters. But here we shall look at some straightforward facts about vowel sounds. First of all, vowels are not, you can say, have fixed pitch, just like you can say musical instruments which have on one note which have some specific frequency. Unlike these musical or instruments, vowels, when we produce vowels, so actually for even if we produce one vowel, so in one vowel we have different pitches simultaneously. For example, in one vowel we have multiple frequencies. You can say one frequency may be 200 and the other may be 400 to 600 and so on. So this is the one characteristics of vowel. There is a pitch at which a vowel is produced, and then based on the vibration of the vocal folds, some overtone pitches are also added to that pitch. What do we mean by pitch? Pitch is usually if the rate of as the rate of the vocal fold as the rate of the vibration of vocal fold increases, the pitch increases, and as the rate of the vibration of the vocal folds decreases, the pitch decreases. So actually when we produce a vowel, so because vowel have each vowel have pitches simultaneously or have multiple pitches, so our vocal folds vibrate, you can say, constantly, and the vibrations are also different at some point of the time in each vowel. So therefore multiple pitches are produced and overtone pitches, you can say, are produced or are added in each vowel. Just look at the second vowel in the apartment. I am going to show you through the spectrogram, where we have 3 horizontal bands which are actually 3 different frequencies of this vowel. So let me show you. So this picture, which we also discussed in earlier lectures as well. So here we have this word apartment, and this is the vowel, and in the spectrogram here we can look at these 3 dark bands, 1, 2, 3, and actually these are different frequencies, and different frequencies at the same time it will have different pitches as well. So for example, the first pitch, we can consider the first pitch was just like here, and then overtone pitches were added, so therefore these bands are produced. So which actually show that vowels have simultaneous pitches and even vowel have simultaneous frequencies, and these dark bands are actually called formants. So here we will consider briefly how one vowel is distinguished from another by pitches of the overtones, or by pitches. So normally, as I have said, we cannot hear the overtones of the vowels as distinguishable pitches. For example, when this vowel would have been produced like apartment, so we can hear only one pitch. We cannot hear all pitches which have been changing throughout the production of this vowel. So we only have the sensation of that pitch on we only have the sensation of pitch we hear is the only the note on which that vowel is said. For example, if I say so it have multiple pitches, but you can hear it only as one pitch. However, there are some circumstances, or you can say some practices, in which we can hear these overtones of each vowel. For example, if we say just the vowels in these words and all making them long, so we can notice the difference. If I say e, 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 o, u, u, and now if you whisper these vowels like so when you whisper, and if you could have listened to what I have whispered, how I have whispered all these vowels, so you will notice that this set of vowels form a series of sound on a continuously descending pitch. You may have noticed that at this vowel the pitch was so low that you hardly hear me. So this happens actually. In this way we can hear these different overtones. And during whispering, actually the vocal folds are not vibrating and there is no regular pitch of the voice. So actually what we are hearing corresponds to a group of overtones actually that characterize the vowels. So actually these overtones, or these different pitches, that which vowel have high pitch, which vowel have low pitch, actually these are some characteristics which you can say distinguish one vowel from the other. And these overtones are actually highest for the word highest for the vowel in heat, which is actually E. So E actually has the highest overtone, and it would be the overtone would be the lowest for any one of these vowel, either O, U or O. And it depends on your regional accent, because in some accents of the English this vowel actually have lowest overtone, and in some accents this would have the lowest overtone, and in some accents U would have the lowest overtones, or in other words the lowest pitch. Now let me show you the low pitch and high pitch with the part as well, but just before it, look at this. If we say a very high note and then the lowest note, for example if I say ooh, and then if I say very lowest note ooh, ooh. So interestingly, for very high note or for high note, we have to have our tongue in the position of the vowel in heat. In heat we have the vowel E which is actually the front high vowel. And when we want to produce a very high note, so we have to keep our tongue in that position of E, like ah. And for the low note, we have to keep the tongue in the position for one of the vowels in hod, hood, or ood, hood. So for example, for the lowest note, we have to keep our tongue in the position of one of these vowels, which is actually o, u, or oo. But for the highest note, in other words, for high note, we have to keep our tongue in the position of the front vowels, and for low note, we have to keep our tongue in one of these vowels, or and actually these oo and oo, actually this oo and oo are actually back vowels. So usually back vowels are associated with low pitch. So from here we can see that, or it seems that, some kind of high pitch is associated with high front vowels, just like in head, and the low pitch is associated with one of the back vowels, either with this, or another back vowel. And the lowest whistle note correspond to the tongue and lip gestures, very much like those used for the vowel in the who. So usually the lowest note which we could produce, for to produce that note, our tongue and lip gestures, which will be much like just in the vowel oo. So the position and the gestures of lips which we have in oo, actually these are the gestures to produce the lowest note. And a good way to learn how to make a high back vowel is very simple. For example, if you say a very lowest note, like I say ooh, and then I constantly start add voicing like ooh, in this way. So actually now I am going to show you something from Pratt. So as we have discussed that as we move from the front vowels to back vowels, the pitch descends, and we say that the highest pitch would be associated with the front high vowel like E. So in Pratt, actually we can look at the pitch very clearly. So it is the pitch. So here you can say for E, the pitch is just here and pitch is very high. So E is producing from here. Then if we move a little bit forward, after E we have this E sound. So actually it is a very short sound. Then we have E, A, and then we have A, and for A the pitch is just here. Sorry, not here. It is not actually very much appearing here, but maybe I have to just show you the last vowel. The last vowel is, yes, so the last vowel is oo, and it has actually low pitch as compared to this is its first pitch. And actually when we have what we are talking about simultaneous pitches, so actually these are the simultaneous pitches, this blue color. So it has actually the low pitch as compared to E. All right, so this is another way to look at these pitches, but we shall not focus on these aspects in detail in this lecture, but I just wanted to give you an overview. So now if we talk about creaky voice, so we can also another way we have another way to minimize the sound of the vocal fold, just like whispering, and this is to produce a creaky voice. A creaky voice actually have has low pitch, and we can produce the sound of voice with vowels, such as if we say or so it is actually a creaky voice. And some people produce creaky voice in which rate of vibration of vocal folds is very low and individual pulses are heard. In other words, individual pulses are heard mean that we can hear all the overtones separately. For example, just focus on these two sounds. You may have noticed that you can hear throughout the production of both vowels that my pitch is actually ascending or descending, and it is actually noticeable. So actually this is the feature of creaky voice, that in creaky voice we can hear the overtones most of the times separately, which is actually not the case with normal voice or whispered voice. And if we say the vowels in words like all in creaky voice, so once again we will hear change in pitch, and the pitch seems to be very low as of creaky voice. In creaky voice, all of the vowels usually have low pitch. But if we say it in the other order, and once again in creaky voice, so what we will notice that the pitch is steadily increases. So just notice like so you can clearly notice the difference, that as we move from this vowel to this vowel, the pitch is steadily increasing by approximately equal steps. And now if we say the vowels in creaky voice, so these three vowels have overtones with a steadily decreasing pitch. So we will notice that in these vowels the pitch will be decreasing if we produce in them in this order in creaky voice, like so this is another way. Let me show you creaky voice from the part, and actually this pitch, the pitch of these vowels produced in creaky voice is very visible. That's why we can hear some overtones or different pitches in creaky voices. So this is the spectrogram of a creaky voice, and here interestingly, as we were discussing, that the pitch is simultaneously increasing or decreasing, and therefore we were able to notice, or we were able to hear all these overtones, because the pitch is quite, you can say, visible even in this spectrogram as well. And therefore, due to this high visibility, because spectrogram is actually the way how we hear the sound, so that was the reason that we were able to distinguish the different overtones when we say like so this is the way. Now we shall listen Peter Ladefoged voice, and we will notice, we have to notice that in the first four vowels, the first four vowels have a quality that clearly goes up in pitch. We will notice that in the first four vowels the pitch will go you can say upward, or pitch will increase, and in the last four vowels like oo, oo, o and o, the pitch will be declining. So first of all, just listen to the normal voice.
Heed, hid, head, had, hod, hord, hood, hood.
Now creaky voice. Now in the whispered voice. So now we have looked at some aspects. So how do we characterize vowels? So vowels can be said on a variety of notes as we have discussed, but we distinguish vowels from one another by two characteristic vocal tract pitches. So actually vowels are distinguished on two pitches associated with their overtones. And what are these two pitches? So the first pitch is actually associated with in which is associated with overtones goes downward in the vowel sequence of e, 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 o, u, u. So in this sequence we notice that the pitch is actually going downward. So actually it is the first pitch, and this pitch corresponds also roughly in the difference between front and back vowels. So we usually say that front vowels have you can say the first pitch as higher. Front vowels have high first pitch, while the back vowels have lower first pitch. The second pitch is actually low for vowels in which the tongue position is high. So if the tongue position is high, in all those vowels in which the tongue position is high, their second pitch will be low. And for all those vowels in which the tongue position is low, their second pitch will be high. So it also corresponds inversely, which we called tongue height in articulatory terms. So the higher the vowel, the lower will be the second pitch. So actually these characteristic overtones are called formants, the high pitch and the lower pitch. So the one with lower pitch is actually a creaky voice, and actually it we call it the first formant, and the higher one, the one which we heard when while whispering, and it is actually the second formant. So the whispering has the higher pitch and the creaky voice has the lower pitch. Let me show you this from the spectrogram. Yes, so the lower note will be associated will be associated with the creaky voice, and the higher formant or the higher note will be associated with the whispered voice. So this is how we look at these formats. So as I have discussed in the start of this lecture that it was just an introduction to the acoustics of vowels. In the next lecture we shall look at these aspects in detail in the next lecture, not in the next lecture but actually in chapter 8. So the next lecture will be about suprasegmentals. So this is all about today's lecture. I hope you have understood it. If you have any problem, you can ask me in the comment section. I would always acknowledge your feedback. So remember in your prayers, Jazakallah khairan, and thank you.